My voice came out all squeaky then. I had a little cough and it still came out squeaky. Hi, this is Anne-Marie here in Falkirk in Scotland, in the far north of Scotland, and I'm here with Nadia, who is in Plettenberg Bay, South Africa, and we get together and we have these little chats about all kinds of things. While you watch this video, you will notice some pop-ups where we show you our information and how you can get hold of us if you're interested in working with us. But please do consider subscribing to the channel, liking, sharing if you can. We're really grateful for any and all support. We're two single women trying to build businesses in this world, and we just really appreciate you watching, and especially if you watch to the end, because that makes all the difference. So that's hello from me. I'm Anne-Marie. Pass over to Nadia.
Hi, it's been very, very long time. It seems like ages since we last met here online for a little podcast.
Yeah, and as we said beforehand, I'm blaming you.
Yeah, all my fault.
Just so you know.
And I'll take the blame. I'll own it. And I just wanted to run by you because it was an interesting experience, because the podcast has been in the back of my mind, of course, all the time, because this idea came out of nowhere, and we love doing it and we love having our chats. We still do have our chats.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. We should just send everybody a link to a WhatsApp group and just have them all join us. Just do it within that.
So it's not as if it's gone quiet between you and I, but I
No.
do find that one of the challenges that I have, and in all sorts of areas, is to I can't keep to a routine at all.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think the only routine that I can keep to is that I go to the loo once a night. I think that's a routine that's subconsciously in. But apart from that, I really struggle with keeping up a routine and keeping up like a diligent practice. Yes.
But when you say keeping up a routine, do you mean you find it difficult keeping up a routine when there's nothing forcing you to adhere to a routine? Is that what you mean, really?
Yes, because let's take our podcast. So
Mm.
we enjoyed it, yeah, and you actually set a date and a time, and then I couldn't attend once,
Yeah.
and then I sort of had to think, okay, well, let's do it tomorrow, or it's fine if we can do it next week, because now so many things have popped up, and I didn't have sufficient Wi-Fi, and then the week after, I probably forgot, knowing myself. And so if I don't stick to a diligent routine, like it is Wednesday or Thursday, 5 o'clock, finished, then I sort of I find it difficult for myself to rope myself back in again.
Once it becomes airy fairy kind of, once there's, it's almost, what springs into my head is that thing of when you're a child and there are consequences for not doing something. When you're an adult, you only really have consequences to yourself, don't you, really? You only have yourself to beat yourself up, really, and we're not that scary really to ourselves, are we? Now, when you're a child, we're so used to, you have to go to school at this time, you have to do this at this time, so and so is going to pick you up at this time. It's all routines and
Yeah.
schedules, isn't it? But the beauty of being an adult is that you're in charge of all of that for yourself, and it's not always easy. And in a way, is it routine or is it motivation? Is it so, or is it somewhere in between?
Yeah, but I think, okay, maybe not, maybe we can find a different word, but it's also this commitment. And I
Mm-hmm.
do have a commitment issue. I mean, you've known me now for over a year, and I am committed.
Mm-hmm.
The big but is it's a bit of a fluid commitment, yes?
I think,
Um,
well, I think we're both running businesses that by the nature are quite, have to be quite fluid, really, don't they?
yeah,
Flexible.
yeah,
We tend to work around people or families,
yeah.
and there's a lot of work that we do behind the scenes that aren't necessarily on calls, and it might be something we do really early on a morning or really late at night or whatever it is. So it kind of defies structure in some ways, doesn't it? So it's, where do I find that structure?
True, but there again, I listened to a podcaster, a very famous podcaster, and fact is, and that's fact, if you don't sort of stick diligently for at least 3 years to, stepping up to creating that podcast every week.
Yeah. Well, well, that's the thing, isn't it? Because you've got people on the other end of it that also like a routine, and they like people to show up when they say they're going to show up if they're going
Exactly.
to. Because, like, yeah,
Exactly.
because it is like that thing of, I don't subscribe to a lot of things on YouTube because it's funny, isn't it? Subscribe. Some people are those characters that subscribe to a ton of things. But if you're like me, I like order. I do like order, and I like so I don't like to have a bulk of things that I'm following. I'm a bit specific. So when I subscribe to something, I'm making a real commitment to that person or that channel. So it's only fair, I guess, to expect that if we want people to follow us, then we're going to show up when we say we'll show up, and there'll be an episode when we say there'll be an episode. And maybe that's the problem is that we're not set in a specific day and a time and working around that. We're fitting this around the other things, really. It's a choice, isn't it, really?
It is a choice. And I had a client this morning where, I was preaching how important it is to create that routine for his wife who is challenged with dementia. And I said, routine gives us structure, it gives us a sort of safety. And I was listening to myself going, maybe we can have a little pep talk while we're sitting in the car driving home, yeah? Because this is exactly, and that's exactly it, yes. To And I also find it with my meditation practice. So it's not that I meditate every day, yes. There is not a day that I don't do it, but I do notice that if I set myself, okay, you've got to do it every day at 6 a.m., immediately in my head goes, no.
Yeah.
Immediate resistance, yes?
But do you think some of that is from being pushed around as a kid? And
I don't know.
so it's like a bit of a, like you say,
I
resistance.
just,
It's like,
I mean,
oh,
that I
I
have
don't like
a
being told what to do and when to do, even by myself, kind of thing. Do you think there's a little bit of that in it? Or I don't like being pinned down or hemmed in, or does it take the fun out of it if it has to be every day in a certain way?
for me, when I listen to that question now, it always more comes up that it's also a matter of that it feels right in the moment. You
Mm-hmm.
know, all the awareness training of listening to your body and the resistance, and it's got to feel right and blah blah blah. So and go with the flow. And
Mm-hmm.
then I'm like, okay, if I go with the flow, then I can't have diligently 6 a.m. because today, I woke up at 6:30, which is like
That's a
twice a year.
lie-in, isn't it? Yeah.
That's for me a real lie in, yeah. But obviously my body needed it. So
Mm.
now if I would have had to meditate at 6 a.m., I wouldn't have. Of course, I can set myself the alarm, but then it becomes a must. You should. Then that pressure comes on again.
Yeah.
So I think for me, it's a real fine line between being committed and diligent and showing up, and at the same time seeing it also not like you should and you have to.
Yeah.
Because
I think part of it is that we've both done a lot of work on ourselves and we both kind of analyze everything. I think we've both learned to analyze every thought we have and think, what's that about and where's that coming from and what's it to do with? And it kind of having routine and timings and have tos is almost in direct battle with that between it is that thing difference between your conscious mind which likes time and likes routine and likes structure and likes to be told what to do and when to do it, and that subconscious thing of, well, I'm just going to flow with the energies, I'm just going to see what feels right. If the energy
exactly,
feels off, I'm going to withdraw. If it feels good, I'm going to lean into it.
exactly.
It's the two things.
And it and that's a
Because
constant sort
meditation
of,
feels terrible if you're forcing it, if you feel like, oh, I have to do this now, isn't it? It's time to do it or whatever.
Yeah, and I mean, I noticed last night I'm following an online course in Zen meditation, and I was so tired yesterday because I watched the Formula One in the morning, which was like 6 a.m. So I had to get up at 5. I was really tired, and there I am sitting on my ball, on my squishy ball, meditating. I literally went forward because I just fell asleep while sitting on the moving ball, and I thought there's absolutely no point to it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, but I showed up, but to be very honest, the 2 hours that I was online in that course, I can't remember nothing because I was in
yeah,
such a tired state. So then the question is, should you not have just sort of left it? So it's a constant in between there is time and there is no time. I listened to my Course in Miracles this morning, and then it's all about there is no time. It's
yeah,
just here and now. And,
yeah,
and I'm going, yeah, right. But there are moments that you have to, show up, and you have to be diligent, and you have to commit, and
yeah,
not about just going with the flow. So it's all these concepts or all these sort of ways of living that sort of trying to put it together and then falling off the bandwagon like we have, because it's
yeah.
my fault. I do realize that. My
Well,
fault.
yes and no, because I could have chased you more. Because yes, you had a period where you went away and you were off Wi-Fi and that, but it's like we get so wrapped up in our own little worlds, don't we? And our own day to day and our own little internal struggles and all of that. And we forget to do the things that would grow us or push us out of our comfort zone. It
Yeah.
gets too easy to do my little routine at home and have my little coffee when I have my coffee and do this and that and the other and not do the things that make you grow or that feel a little bit uncomfortable and all the rest of it, or feel like putting yourself out a bit in order to achieve them.
And it's exactly what you said before. It is there are hopefully at one point a lot of people on the other side listening, yeah. And like I listen to I have 2 channels that I follow diligently, and I'm already waiting for the next
Yeah,
episode to come
yeah,
out.
yeah,
We it is a sense of dopamine rush there, yeah. That I'm waiting for that next episode to come so I can feed myself.
yeah. Have you ever, Nadia, worked a job that was like not necessarily a 9 to 5, but you had to be there at specific times for specific hours? Because we never talked about that. I know a lot of the things that you've done or trained in and all of that, but have you ever had like a I don't want to say an offensive word, but you know what I mean, like a regular, boring, structured job? When was the last time you had a
So,
regular,
so
boring?
I did have twice. I think I lasted 6 months. And so one was definitely not longer than 6 months, yeah, because I was just like, I can't deal with this. My
Yeah,
kid constantly at home alone, or I had to fetch them really late, etc. And well, that was a good excuse. But for me to be there, and we only had to be there at 9 o'clock in the morning, so it
what was
wasn't.
it? What was it?
I worked for a public relation company in Vienna.
Right, okay.
It was really good, and my boss, who I'm still closely connected to, also ADHD. So him and I were constantly all over. Yeah, I mean, to rope us two in was like, I think we would have needed a personal assistant, and now I was his personal assistant. But we work with people like, like Patch Adams and all that. So
Oh,
there's
right, okay.
like crazy people. So
Yeah,
the job itself, the content was like this, but yeah, it was structure.
right,
And then I had another, I think I lasted a year there actually. It was a recruitment company.
right, okay.
The recruitment was so structured and everything was so according to a plan, yeah. Where
Yeah,
I remember always saying like, but there's a person sitting behind this application. We don't know the story. How can we just look at it and say, oh, divorced 2 children? Oh, no, that's a no.
yeah, yeah. They
Yeah,
can't be
and
this and they can't be that and they won't do this and they won't do that.
exactly. And
Yeah.
there was this routine, and then you had to have lunch then, and then the worst was, I think the shortest one was, I think it was 2 months. I think it was 2 months. I don't even think I got 2 months. at, believe it or not, a law firm. I was a personal assistant for quite a high-strung lawyer woman.
Right, okay.
That
What?
was just me. I just couldn't. I mean, it was just everything was like everything had to be filed, everything had to be put like this, the email had to be answered like this, and the structure was like
Yeah.
me, you know. So yeah, and I think
Sounds like an RTT session in the making, that, to find out why you don't like
okay,
routine,
I
and
know
it'll all go back to all of these jobs that that make
never.
you fight against routine and structure and prejudging people and all of the rest of it.
And and you know, I sometimes envy people that are still in their regular jobs, and they've done it for the last 20, you know, a friend, my dear friend in Vienna, he has been doing his job, I think, for the past 28 years. And it's
Yeah.
amazing, you know, he's got an amazing salary, he has his structure, he has his, you know, he's built himself up. It's great, yeah. But there's a different struggle there.
It's
And
funny, isn't it, though? I found myself thinking that the other day, is like, I think maybe I mentioned it to you or touched on it, just what would it be like to live a life where that you were contented with that doing the same, because my brother did that, my oldest brother. He literally did pretty much the same job from the minute he graduated right to retirement. Didn't particularly love it, but it was well paid, and he wanted the security, and he wanted to pay for his kids university and not have them in debt, so he stuck it out. He just went with it, and it's like, what would it be like to have a brain that could cope with that? Because you and I's brain is very different. I mean, I don't have ADHD, but I always have that thing of there has to be more. And I think you're the same, aren't you?
but on the other hand, you know, if we and that was our intention when we started our podcast, you know, to let it grow, and this is something that we really like doing, and sharing, etc. There is no going around it, to stick to it and to
Yeah.
let this be part of the 9 to 5 attitude job, or, you know, diligent staying with it, uh,
Yeah.
because otherwise it's
Well,
not
we
going to
should
grow.
do. We should structure it in, because, like we say, we've no real excuse, because both of us can work flexibly. So,
Exactly. So it's to realize that for me, I've realized now, you know, for this year, I do want to work more online, and I want to, I'm traveling a little bit more, even here in South Africa. So I've realized I've got to have my phone has to be completely up to speed. And
yeah.
this can also be used to do a Zoom call. Yeah. So my little excuses, yeah, I had to put them aside.
But that is it, isn't it? Because we do tell ourselves an awful lot of things that hold ourselves back. I was having a little conversation with my friend, who has a lot of difficulties, and they're saying, "Look, you're always saying I can't do this till I have that. I can't do this until
Yes.
this happens." Um, and it's like, I was watching something from one of my hypnotherapy tutors the other day, and he was showing you his little studio setup. And basically, he had like his monitor stacked on two, reams of A4 paper, and he didn't have anything fancy, just a tripod, an iPhone, a light, but we tell ourselves, and it is an excuse and it is a fob off. We tell ourselves we need this first, or this has to be in place first, or it has to be perfect. We have that perfectionism thing going.
Absolutely.
Um,
I mean, my laptop is stacked on Encyclopedia Britannica.
right, okay.
You know, I've got a few here just in case it wasn't high enough,
Right.
but it's only stacked on two. Uh,
Yeah.
and
And,
so,
and, it's,
and
and it also is that thing of, when we do tend to be rewards based as well. So if we don't see instant rewards, any
yes,
of us, in what we do in terms of positive feedback, likes, it's the social media thing, isn't it? If we don't see those likes, those shares, somebody clicking on our ads, our whole lives now, if we're in business particularly, is driven by likes and clicks and shares and follows and comments.
oh,
And,
but
uh,
it's
and validation from outside, needing outside validation to make it seem worthwhile as well.
it's the outside validation, and you know, I preach that when I give my dementia talks on, how to communicate with people who have dementia, and it's all validation. So I'm like, oh, I have to have that little chat with myself as well, validate myself for what I do. But it's also that dopamine, it's the whole thing of that dopamine addiction that we have. So yes, for us working online and using social media as one of our main platforms to communicate, yes, we are, of course, dependent, or we want to have that validation of that. But it's also, I mean, I'll be very honest, it's the dopamine, yeah. It's that dopamine rush of getting that validation, of getting that little like, or somebody saying, oh, I saw your podcast, yeah. And whoever says it's not like that, I don't, because then why would you do it? You want to be seen, you want to be heard, you want to share. Yeah. Period, yeah.
Well, we all want to feel like it's worth us being here, don't we? Basically, that there's a point to our life. And I do find it, what I find a little bit difficult about what I do, and I spend a good chunk of my days and my time creating content in one form or another. But part of my problem is, and this is also a story I'm telling myself. I acknowledge it even as I say it, that the content I create, a lot of people are consuming it, acknowledging it in their minds, but they're not commenting on it. They're not liking it, because to do so is to acknowledge, have I got a mental health problem? If somebody sees this, will they think that I've got but as I say that, I know that's also a story that's running in my head as to why I don't get too many likes or shares or whatever. I know it's seen because I kind of get feedback in other ways, but I think, why don't you effing go click like on my Facebook? But that's what I get from family, oh, I saw your thing on Facebook, and every once in a blue moon I think, why didn't you freaking share it or freaking like it? Because but you don't. It's because like today I saw somebody, oh, if you like my art, this is a woman I've treated, and it's like, if you like my artwork, please share my post. That's the way we grow as a business. I think, hello, lady. Hello, remember me that helped you get your artwork out there? How about liking and sharing some of we get that in a child like triggered, don't we? You know what I mean?
And it is. It is that inner child. And also what I heard, I listened to this rabbi in the morning always, and he said, as long as you know your purpose and you follow your purpose, the rewards come in all sorts of ways.
Yeah.
Because we want to have that acknowledgement from the outside, and we want to have that validation, and we want to have that monetary, and we want to be successful and all that. That all comes if you follow your purpose. Same as Alan Watts from the 70s. He says, what makes you itch? Once you find out what makes you itch, if money were no object, you've got to do that, because then all the rest falls in. And I find that's something that I tend to forget in between, that I go, I'm following my purpose, and I'm following the passion with my dementia work and my mental health support for people and all of that. Yeah. And the brain health and the gut health, and, helping people in their challenges when they have transition of all sorts.
Yeah.
And I notice if I stay focused on that, then the validation comes in all sorts of ways.
Yeah.
And that dopamine rush feeling, wanting to have addiction, yes, that sort of dwindles away.
And kind of, I was saying it the other day, and you agreed as well, because last week I had one of those weeks where in lots of little ways I got little bits of things, an unexpected email that was really nice from a client, and one or two little unexpected gifts. And it's funny, isn't it? When you're single, I think when you feel it on that level, being appreciated and being noticed, I was saying to you, wasn't I? The feeling, you don't almost know what to do with it, with real dopamine feeling. What I feel is God's real way of giving you dopamine. The feeling is so big and it's so pure. It's like, I don't know what to do with it, isn't it? I don't know how to just absorb it. I feel like it has to it's that feeling, isn't it, when you've nobody there in your house to give you a hug or just it's like, what do I do with it? I'm still fighting with that one because it's like,
Well,
and the thing is, unless I find out what to do with it, why I won't be getting more of it because God will be saying, well, you don't know what to do with the bits that I'm already giving you. You know what I mean?
while you were saying that, it just sort of popped up in my mind. You know, as children, we didn't get that overflow in
No,
the positive dopamine flow. Yes.
yeah.
So now I think we're just not used to it as adults.
Mhm.
And what do you do with it? Well, what if it's just really great, just great, and it's all mine?
Yeah.
That's what I said to myself in the last couple of days when I had that sense of, "Oh, what am I going to do with that?" Yeah. I thought, well, just embrace it and just keep it. And when I wanted to call someone or share it with somebody, I said, no, this time, this time around, you keep gonna keep it all to yourself, and change
Yeah.
and not go to that, oh, I got a bar of chocolate, now I need to share it with you because I can't have the whole bar of chocolate to
Yeah.
myself. You like that condition from our childhood, which we
Yeah.
we share so many parallels. And but coming back to the initial idea that how to keep diligent and how to keep to a routine, it is to acknowledge that exactly that my reaction in the here and now is sometimes just comes out of from the childhood where everything had to be was so controlled.
Mhm.
Yeah. To say, okay, there is a time and place for everything. Yeah. But
Just to say there's rewards when I stick to a routine of my choosing, kind of thing.
exactly. And also, especially something where, we both have our hearts with it. We love this podcast idea. We've loved this for such a long time. And it's something that connects us, although we've never met in person. And it's something that connects the northern and southern hemispheres and the different worlds of working with people and there for me to say, okay, well, this is not the place to let that in a I'm not going to stick to my routine. Yeah.
It's
And
that thing as
also
well,
know
isn't
that it'll there you can only bear fruits if you nourish something,
it?
and
Yeah,
if you nourish this podcast, then
yeah, and as human beings, we do tend to thwart our own progress. We often say, do that thing of, oh, I can't be bothered, or it's too much effort. And when we do it, we really enjoy it. But as human beings, we do have that thing, don't we, where, oh, it's hard work. It's hard work just committing, isn't it? And then we do it and think, why didn't I do this before? It's like, why am I doing this more often? It's,
and also it's sort of perfect,
yeah. And it's like when
we
people
will,
insist on looking at what's negative and what's wrong and what's
yes.
hard. And you
Hmm.
think, just walk outside and have a little walk and go see something pretty. You can live in that energy of it's hard and it's this and it's that and it's the other and it's too much effort or too much time or I haven't got that time, I have to be doing whatever. Or you can think, what am I here for? How am I going to grow? Am I willing to lean into that discomfort? Am I willing to put in the effort because I'm worth it and what I want to do is worth it and it's important and all
Exactly.
the rest of we tend not with a lot of I went earlier when you were talking. I'm just gonna going to I must stop saying gunner. It's very Yorkshire. Gunner. People say what's gunner? What's gunner mean? Going to.
Yeah.
Lost my train
Yeah.
of thought now, but we a lot of us in life. I think we're pretty sure of our purpose now. I still do question it a bit sometimes, mine, or like, have I got a real handle on it? But a lot of people are walking around there with no clue of what the real purpose is, aren't there? And that is another thing that will hamper your routine and structure if you're not really sure what it is, or you're not really sure you're in the right thing for you either. Will make it harder to have a routine and structure and follow through.
But as you said just now, if you go out into nature and you have a look and see something beautiful, well, that flower doesn't go, oh, am I perfect?
No.
Flower just says,
I didn't grow in the right way. I'm a bit
I am the
wonky.
flower. Finish, perfect, not perfect. I'm growing a bit wonky. It probably doesn't have that awareness, that's wonky, and doesn't actually question its purpose. Yeah,
No, it's like a dog, isn't it? It's just it's not worried about how ugly it is or anything like that,
exactly.
or whether it looks good on camera, or whether it barks the right way, or
Exactly. So
it doesn't run hiding if it accidentally breaks wind in the middle of a meeting or anything like that.
it's all this conditioning, yeah. And I think these experiences like we've had now, where I've noticed that, we've just dwindled with this podcast. It was a good experience and it was a good reminder. And my dad always said, make the mistake once. If you make it twice, it's a choice and it's stupidity. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I learned my mistake here, or my lesson. Yeah. And you're gonna have to chase me.
Oh, yeah, you see, you're using my Capricorn skills of like in a diary and plotting things out and being a. I always tell people, I don't know how many people understand it over here, but I always say like, and I like it about me, but I am what Americans would call anal retentive. I like I like those tiny details. It's like when they used to give me jobs at work. I like those mindless, meaningless tasks that you do the same thing
Oh,
over and over. There's a part of my brain that finds that really comforting. It's like I can sit and do touch typing exercises. Like if I'm a bit stressed out or something, like using your hands is really helpful to me. But yeah, I do like my brain. I think because I am very much a person like yourself that is analyzing emotionally what is happening in myself all of the time. To do something mechanical that keeps my busy mind occupied. It's like when my dog used to get frightened of thunder and lightning, and I'd put him on the treadmill because I'd have to peel him off my neck otherwise. But if you stuck him on the treadmill and kept his limbs busy, and your mind's thinking left out, left leg, right leg, left leg, right leg, you can't witter away, can you? And you can't dive into those emotions or what it feels like. So for me, I think mindless, meaningless tasks are quite helpful to me to curtail the big emotions that I have, kind of, and stop me overthinking and things.
and I'm like, you are all the way up north. I'm all the way down south. Well, I'm all the way on the other side of that spectrum because I'm Sagittarius. I'm a free spirit. Don't rein me in. And ADHD.
Yeah.
And probably a bit of menopausal brain fog to go with it. So for me to have to, if I just listen to you, I'm going, it's the
Yeah,
living
and this is really difficult for me because I'm so impressed that I've managed to create a few graphics, and I want to show them to you. I want you to be really impressed with my boring brain, and you're like, la la la. Yes, I know you can do it. I'm not very impressed. Just do it.
we actually like yin and yang. I think we met each other, but I will come to the party diligently and with commitment. I will not come again.
Sometimes you might have to organise the party.
I'll organize a party.
Send me a Zoom invitation. You don't, don't be taking advantage of my anal retentiveness.
And I'm gonna knock on your
Sphincter.
to rope me in and say, no, Nadia, actually, no, we agreed on this, and I have set my phone up nicely, and it has a capacity now, and so there is absolutely no reason why we should not meet here next week, right?
Figure out what we're going to talk about.
Oh, that I am not worried about at all.
You will have to get on ChatGPT and ask it for some ideas. So, given what you already know about me, give me some ideas that we can talk about on our podcast.
And I think ChatGPT, that would be a good topic. because it's yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
That's a
It's
good.
interesting now because I will often ask it, given what you know about me and my business and this, what do you think? Yeah. What do you think about X, Y, and Z, or create me X, Y, and Z? Yeah. And it's quite funny now it's having a relationship with me and bigging me up occasionally. So what a great idea you've just had. It's doing that to me.
Not there yet, but maybe you'll convince me. But
Maybe that's what I'm missing. I should type into it. Can you interact with me as if you're like a 6'6", charming Scottish rugby player that wears a kilt and converse with me in that manner?
let me know how that went next week.
I can get
I'll
some
challenge you on
external
that one.
validation that's useful then. All
Glad
right,
that,
Nadia.
but I'm glad that we had this, that we shared, and that you'll keep me accountable, and that I completely and utterly owned the fact that because I didn't pitch, we were not doing the podcast in the last 2 months, 3 months.
And I guess that's partly me as well because there'll always be a little bit of me that's like, and it stems back from childhood, and you'll have it as well. It's like, um, it's asking, isn't it, somebody else to prioritize something that they're doing with you.
Exactly.
It's like, oh,
Yeah.
do I have the right to ask them for their time or their help? It's a little bit of
Yeah.
that, isn't it?
But
Yeah.
you do. You do.
It's like, am I important enough?
You
Little
are.
old me.
Wow. That's so important to me. You know that.
Yeah, is what I have to say good enough?
It is. It is.
Oh dear. Okay, Nadia, we shall meet again very soon.
Next week.
Yes, and everybody, if you have stayed to the end, thank you so much. Hopefully you've seen our links pop up, and don't forget to please drop us a like at the very minimum because we really do need that help and we appreciate everything we get. Don't forget we like that external validation. We like comments, likes, subscribes, and shares, and reach out to either one of us through Nadia and Demen's Care. But she does so much more than that as well. And I'm a rapid transformational therapy practitioner and other forms of hypnotherapy and coaching too. We're very happy to talk to you. We're easy to talk to, aren't we, Nadia? I believe.
So easy.
You can't help but feel better talking to either one of us, I would say.
Yeah.
Especially like if you're looking for reassurance, if you're at your wit's end in whatever way it is, and you're feeling stuck, you don't know where to turn. Please do reach out and book a call with us for our personal specialties. All right, Nadia.
See you next week.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.